Welcome back to Atlantic Fellows Conversations from the Climate Action Convening in Bogotá, Colombia. I'm Fanula Sweeney. Today we join Atlantic Fellows on the fifth and final day of the convening as they travel up into the Andes above Bogotá for a hike in the páramo, a high-altitude ecosystem rich in biodiversity. Over to Halil Goga, Associate Executive Director for Community Engagement, Programming and Impact at the Atlantic Institute.
We're on our last day of our convening. We've left Bogotá in the urban scape to come up to a terrain called the páramo, elevated terrain just outside of Bogotá. It's interesting because it kind of brings us full circle. From our first settling in the city, we went to the botanical gardens in which they explained the páramo, the kind of vegetation, animals, flora and fauna that live around here, which is pretty unique and quite distinct, even though it's really close to the city. It's really verdant. Today we have clear blue skies. My understanding is that it does get quite rainy up here, but today is a pretty beautiful day.
We are here before starting our walk to the páramo, drinking agua panela, which is water with sugar cane, but very hot, that boosts your energy. We are eating arepa, that is one of the typical Colombian dishes, a rounded mass of corn with cheese inside, plus cuajada. That is a very traditional type of cheese. Some people put the cuajada into the agua panela when it is very hot, so that the cheese becomes softer. This is a traditional breakfast for when you are going to go hiking or do very hard physical work because it boosts your energy. We are going to bring some bocadillos. Bocadillo is a dessert that is produced in the center-east part of Colombia, in the region of Santander. It's a guava sweet. So this is also very good for when you are hiking as a reservoir of energy.
My name is Dora. I'm from South Africa. Very excited about today. I've never been this high anywhere, well, except in an aeroplane. And this is exciting because we heard about the páramos, and today we are going to see in real life the ecosystem around the páramos, and we hear more. And then we can connect what we learned beginning of the week with what we will see.
My name is Mafoko from South Africa. The drive up here was beautiful. It was a winding road and we could get a view of the whole of Bogotá. Right now we're looking at the wildlife out here, the fauna and flora. So lots of green and lots of purple from the flowers, yellow. The air is fresh, it's a bit chilly, but we're excited.
Yes, I'm Amanda from Brazil, and yeah, I'm very excited as well to see the páramos. It's such a unique ecosystem, as Dora said, and I've never seen it before, so really looking forward to it.
Hello, I'm Lauren. We're here at the páramo. We're eating our arepas, queso, and tea before we go for our hike to give us strength to get out there. I'm just excited to get outside and see the beautiful landscape.
Hi, I'm Enam. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm a fellow for the Atlantic Fellows for Social and Economic Equity program. I was appreciating how similar the culture here is to South Asia, and we were trying to bring some South Asian debates on the table with Ishrat, who's here next to me.
Hi everyone, I'm Ishrat. I'm based in India, in Bombay. I'm having the basil tea. It's a lot like my Indian tea that I take in the morning, so a lot of similarities. And basil is actually a very holy plant in India, so if you go to a Hindu family, you'll always see a basil plant in the middle of the courtyard. If you go to a village and in the balconies, if you are in the city, you basically offer water to the basil plant in the morning when the sun rises. So it's a very holy as well as medicinal, as well as something that keeps you fresh the whole day. So I take it every morning. It's amazing to just find it here also.
We will have 3 groups. 2 groups English, 1 group Spanish. But in case any of us experience altitude sickness, we can offer now a coca tea, or if any of you would like some coca leaves also to chew, we have that available as well. So anyone who wants to drink coca tea now? Coca tea.
My name is Andres. I'm working here as a tour guide in Mata Redonda's park. Mata Redonda Park is a very important park in terms of biodiversity because this park will contains different species that belongs to páramo fauna, which is a very specific fauna that only grows here at 12,000 feet over the sea level. The landscape here, well, is very, very specific. We don't really have big trees due to the lack of oxygen, so most of the species are bushes. There is an endemic species known as frailejón or Speletia grandiflora. It's a very important one since it's a factory of water, a natural factory of water. This plant sucks the moisture in the air, traps this moisture, drives the moisture to the core of the plant, and this moisture will then go to the main soil. So it acts as a factory of water. Here, due to the high volume of UV rays, most of the plants have smaller leaves than the regular plants that you see in other places. That's because of the radiation that they're getting from the sun. Now, another factor that you see here is most of the plants, they turn themselves into white colors just to repel this excess of UV rays that they get from the sun. Everybody, your attention please. Everybody, please gather here. We need to speak to all. Right here. So let me introduce myself. My name is Andres. I work here as a tour guide in Mata Redonda's park. Mata Redonda, well, is a very interesting park. It's located here in a very high land. We are now in 11,000 feet over the sea level, which in other words, it's roughly 3,200 meters over the sea level, right? So you may find some difficulties of breathing. This is very normal, is due to the lack of oxygen. Now, our walk today, we're going to start with planting trees. What we're going to do is pick up the tree, then we bring the tree up to the plantation zone, and then we begin with the hiking. After the hiking, we come back and finish the plantations. Okay, everybody, so we're 12. We're 12 people. It seems we're having 6 trees, so we're gonna make couples to adopt this tree. Victor, let me introduce you. Victor is the owner of the park, and he's going to bring you the trees. Different endemic species that we're having here.
Vamos a sembrar el laurel de cera.
This tree is the one that is going to give us. It's a wax laurel. It's a very special tree because it was part of a celebration related to Mary's Madonna. So that's what he's going to explain.
Porque era como ya un mes que se utilizaba por la Virgen María y se hacía la cruz.
So we're trying to recover this kind of laurel tree because it was used a lot to build crosses. These crosses were built here, but during the processions, they were taken from this place to Bogotá. So he's going to give us 6 trees, and we're going to take them to the place, all right?
We just came back from a little excursion and we are here trying to get our trees planted.
You can fill it a little bit more, and that's it. Right?
Okay.
And you can leave it like that.
Okay, good job.
Perfect, good job.
I'm farmer's daughter.
Oh, that's a nice story. Tell me a little bit more about it.
So actually we started as my forefathers used to collect cotton and then make it in a pillow and they used to sell it to the big owners and
so when
rich
you were
people.
young, you were exposed to
and then
a lot of this.
one of my forefathers somehow managed some money and bought the first piece of land, and it's still with us.
Depends on the
So we come from the farming family. So as I was saying earlier also, land actually is gold. It gives you the means to survive, means to progress. Even a small piece of land over years can give you more and more life.
We are planting this for the future generations. We start with a small sapling. Eventually, it will cover the whole area.
It's been a real pleasure for me to be able to show other fellows what is going on in my home country, in Colombia. I think this experience has been a process of mutual learning among fellows in terms of what are the struggles that each of us is accompanying in our own countries. To me, it has been eye-opening to see that the struggles that we are having here in Colombia are very similar with what is going on in Vietnam, what is happening in South Africa, even what is happening in some places in the global north where you have communities that have been discriminated against, including indigenous peoples, for instance, in Aotearoa, New Zealand, that are trying to advance a different view on how we need to respond to the climate emergency. So what gives me hope about this convening is that we are finding common ground to explore collaborations that advance the kind of transnational action that we need to deal with the climate emergency. In a context where meaningful action is not coming from government spaces like climate COPs, I think it's very important to create an internationalism of initiatives and struggles for building a more fair world in terms of advancing climate justice at the same time that you advance economic and social justice.
One of the reflections I take from this convening has to do with the need of strengthening the work among leaders, NGOs, stakeholders that are in the ground. Because besides the need of engaging and strengthening political will among countries, I feel that there is a need of strengthening also the multilateralism work from the ground, from the grassroots. So this type of working is very important because we should push the climate change agenda everywhere, top down and bottom up at the same time.
Just want to encourage everybody to be curious, go out and learn. You're going to see a lot of science when you look at climate stuff, but it all boils down to people. People need things, people have things, and at the end of the day, you want to have clean air. You want to have clean water. You want to have a safe place to live. So does everyone else, and you should use that as a yes and, not a mere them.
We're talking about very serious things that people are paying with their lives to talk about. We can continue to ensure that the people who need protection do get it, that stories are elevated, but appreciating that it takes strength and courage to share your story, and that sometimes these events are also made possible by isolating and marginalizing people. So the more that we make marginalized communities more visible, and it is known that they are in community with other people across the world, their eyes are watching, and that their ideas are not crazy, are not absurd, are not uneconomical, but in fact, there's all types of visions all over the world who are asking similar questions, who have similar problems, and who want similar outcomes. It makes it very difficult to bully such a person. It makes it harder to make them seem like they're crazy. And I think many people who do this work feel that way, that they're shouting into a void and that they're crazy and that they're alone. So I think that these forums and this work, it's important for us to make sure that people feel seen and heard, especially those who are maybe not the most vocal in the room, but are here all the same and have a story to tell.
Yeah, it's so important for us to remain hopeful. And one of my biggest lessons of working for nearly 30 years in this space is to hold things lightly. The work is so hard and we can easily get burnt out. And so looking after ourselves, holding lightly, connecting with others, sharing how we're feeling, how our emotions, finding joy, laughing a lot becomes really important in how we do the work, because otherwise our bodies and our health really suffers, and that's not getting us where we need to be. So how do we do it with more joy? I think another lesson that I've really learned is we can only move at the speed of trust. And so rebuilding human connection and trust in each other is also a really important part of what's going to get us where we need to be too.
That brings us to the end of this podcast and the end of the series. Thank you for listening. I'm Fionnuala Sweeney, and you've been listening to Atlantic Fellows Conversations from the Climate Action Convening in Colombia. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it on and subscribe to the series wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to learn more about Atlantic Fellows and their work for equity, please go to our website at www.atlanticfellows.org.